It's never easy at the top, and it's especially hard to get to the top, as the Rockford Rivets found out here in Week 3. Thank you for joining us in the Rivets Rundown. He's Craig Combs, and I'm Parker Perrell. And Craig, what a long and arduous week it's been for the Rockford Rivets, but they sit at first place currently.
Yeah, Rockford has had an interesting week, if you will, but a fun week as Rockford has come out on the winning end more than they've come out on the losing end. As we take a look here at the week that was in the Rockford Rivets baseball organization. And Parker, we see that Rockford, they're 4-2 over their last 6 games. They've played really, really well. The 2 losses, though, not bad. I mean, a loss is never a good thing, but not a bad thing, especially when you see how Rockford has responded to those losses. They've learned from their mistakes, and they've made those improvements, which sees them sitting atop the Great Lakes East.
Yes, and the first loss that you're talking about is in the series finale to the Royal Oak Leprechauns, and you learned a lot about that team. They're trailing by a lot. They end up losing 9-4, but as we talked about on the broadcast, what we saw in that late game rally from the Rockford Rivets was more telling than what we saw in the first 7 innings of that game.
Well, and that's something that we've noticed here early on that Rockford has struggled with. And in their losses, they're giving up multiple runs in those first 3 innings. Most importantly, in these 2 losses here that we're going to be talking about, runs in the first inning. And it's difficult to have to continue climbing out of a hole when you find yourself in a huge hole so early on. And that's something that Rockford needs to figure out here moving forward. They're starting pitching, not allowing multiple runs to be scored in those first 3 innings.
Yeah, and you mentioned the early holes. First game in Kenosha, Rockford would fall up short in that one, making it back-to-back losses in the series finale to Royal Oak and then the series opener to Kenosha. And it was all because of that early hole, and they would lose via a walk-off. So, that just had to affect the Rivets mentally moving forward, but they came back in the final game of the Kenosha series as well.
Well, I mean, it affects them mentally because, again, your ultimate winners, you don't like to lose, but you ultimately learn more from your losses than you do from your wins because, you celebrate those wins, but it's the losses where you find out the little cracks or the chinks in the armor, if you will, to try to make those improvements, and Rockford is seemingly doing that. They've struggled with the starting pitching as the beginning of the season came along. They've started to figure that out with Dylan Petrie. They've struggled with late inning relief. They've started to figure that out with Nohos and Pottiger, Jack Pottiger. And so they're starting to fit these pieces where they want them and how they want to see this team evolve.
Yes, they started to figure stuff out, as you mentioned, all the pitchers coming in, but also what a response that Game 2 up in Kenosha. 2 home runs from Shupman and Ryan Bakes, a perfect way to respond after a tough loss, and getting that win, coming back home and playing Battle Creek, setting up 2 straight battles to remain in first place in the Great Lakes East, and what a way to respond for the Rockford Rivets.
Yeah, a nice way to come home off of a victory, and then you come home to set up those 2 huge games, as you mentioned, with Battle Creek. Both of those games with implications in the Great Lakes East in positioning. Rockford coming out on the nice top end of those, going 2-0. And a lot of that can be attributed to, as we've talked about already, Kyle Shupman playing electrically here to start the season, but debuting a new face here in Rockford, Maddox Mikalakis, and what a boost he was to the Rockford offense.
Yes, the first game that Mikalakis played in 4 for 4, and the stat line just continues from there. Had a couple of doubles. You saw him almost hit the home run to right field. What a debut it was for the Arizona Wildcat. The Rockford Rivets, in their first 2 wins against Battle Creek in the series, it just took a lot of offense, and boy, was that the name of the show, fireworks on the field. And that's exactly what happened. As you saw, the Rivets, they needed all 9 winnings to win each game. You talk about the Screws letting runs up early, but we saw a different end of the story this time around. The Rivets typically got up or got back in the game, and then late inning rallies from the Battle Creek Battle Jacks, and it took the Rivets defense to pull out those wins.
Well, and that has to be motivating for head coach Will Oberg, is the resilience of the team. You see your team get down, they struggle a little bit, but then to see them scratch and claw and fight back. And again, last night, capping off the 2-game win streak against Battle Creek with a 9-8 victory. I mean, this one was tight as it couldn't get, but Rockford able to continue to find ways to win. And Will Oberg has to be happy with the way Rockford's been playing.
Scratch and claw is a good way to put it, and I had a chance to speak with Will Oberg after the game yesterday, getting the 3rd straight win for the Rockford Rivets. Let's see his thoughts after the game. First question for you, Coach Oberg. 3 straight wins again. How does it feel?
Feels good. The guys are playing some good baseball, and we had a tough one on, Sunday there at Kenosha, but it's good to see them respond with 3 big wins in a row and get back on track.
And those 3 straight wins, those were 3 straight wins where y'all had to fight to stay in first place. What does this show about your team's ability to fight in those games?
Hey, in this league, you got to find a way to win games. Every night it's going to be a challenge. Doesn't matter who you're playing. It's going to be a tough game, and Battle Creek's a good team over there. They're a really scrappy team. They do things really well, so you just got to earn it. And tonight we definitely had to earn it, and it feels good when you get those ones.
And before this series, last time y'all squared off against the Battle Jacks, an 11-1 loss. Was there a little bit of revenge coming into this game?
I think the message was just, hey, don't sleep on these guys. It's a really good team over there. Past years, they haven't been the best team in the division. This year, they're a real team. They got a good manager over there. They got some good players. So just coming up, showing up to the yard every day and earning it, and that's what we had to do tonight.
In these past 2 games, it showed it never got easy. There were a couple of times where it could go either way, and your guys still managed to pull off with the win. You already talked about your team's fight, but what does this show about your team's ability to pull through?
It's just wanting it. It comes down to caring, going out there every night. It's tough. It's tough with this schedule to bring it every day, but that's a challenge, and these guys have answered the bell on that, and they don't ask how, they ask how many.
Special thanks to manager of the Rockford Rivets, Will Oberg, for being a part of this episode. Always great to hear from the man in charge as we move away from the diamond. It's not always about the guys on the field, because there was a great crowd for the home games here at Rivets Stadium. And Craig, you got to talk to a special person who made all that happen.
Yeah, and that's the Vice President of Ticket Sales here at the Rockford Rivets, Jordan Christofferson. I had the fortune to sit down and talk with him about his vision of how to get more fans here into the stands, is also going over some of the incredible new additions here out at Rivets Stadium. So let's go to that interview here with Jordan. Can you kind of give me an overview of what you do? I mean, this is a new position. You recently were named the Vice President of Ticket Sales. What do you do in this position?
Yeah, so I manage a group of sales reps. They've been working really hard to try to fill this stadium. I got 4 of them, and on top of that, my own clients that we are trying to bust down some doors and to get people out here.
What are some of the things that are new out here this summer that you'd like for the fans to know about, to come out here and check out here at Rivets Stadium?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you just said, Rally. Rally is our new mascot this year. He is a Rivetsaurus, and he is a bundle of energy.
Absolutely.
And as well as our kids area. I mean, we are a family-friendly park, and we really want people to come out here and just enjoy the environment. Most people will leave the game not knowing what the score was, because they had so much fun here at the stadium, interacting with our interns, interacting with the staff, and just enjoying time out away from life. They get to kind of take that step and come into the ballpark and just enjoy themselves.
And this environment out here, this is it's conducive for a family, right? I mean, the goal is to get families out here, right? Because I mean, we are a family here at the Rockford Rivets, but we want the community to come out and essentially join our family or be a part of this family, right?
Yes, absolutely. We are a very family-oriented company and a team. With that being said, this Sunday, Father's Day, we're having a huge Father's Day deal. $15 ticket for fathers and their families. For them to come out, they'll get a brat. Fathers will get a beer or a drink of their choice.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Exactly. And then they get to spend time with their kids out on the field 15 minutes before the game, 12:30 to 12:45, tossing a baseball around with their kids. That's something that a father, me being a father, loves to do with my daughter. So getting out here to a ballpark and actually being able to go on the field and throw a baseball around with your kids is something that I know fathers cherish. And the goal is to get groups out here. We have a plethora of great group areas for companies, families, and others alike that can come together and be a part of this team. Right Field Party Porch is to me, one of our best areas that we have to offer. It's $35 a ticket for a group outing, and it's all you can eat for 2 hours, an hour before and an hour during the game. And each person gets 2 drinks, whether it be alcohol or non-alcoholic. And a bonus to that is it's right next to the kids area. So families can be here, and the adults can enjoy themselves while the kids are right next door, and they know that they're safe.
Yep. Mom and Dad can go out and party out in the left field, over the right field wall in the red shed. and about 20 feet away, the bouncy houses, as you said. The
Exactly.
kids, hey, these are the two places that you can go to back and forth. This is where we're going to be at. This is where you're going to be at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it a safe environment for the kids and for families.
All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it here for my interview with Jordan Christofferson. Jordan, thank you for joining us here this afternoon. You're no longer in the Rivets Rundown. I'm Craig Combs. He's Jordan Christofferson. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Craig.
A lot of good things happening right now here around First Community Credit Union Field and the Rockford Rivets baseball organization. Again, want to thank head coach Will Oberg and the interview that you had time to sit down and talk with him, as well as Vice President of Ticket Sales, Jordan Christofferson. That's going to do it here on the Rivets Rundown here this week. For my partner, Parker Perrell, I'm Craig Combs. And as always, Rivets out.